everyone.
Good morning.
How are you doing this wonderful morning?
Very well. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you.
Well, you know, it's one of those topics that is always talked about. And you know, the trick about talking about faith is to find 40 or 50 different ways to present it. So people get it a little bit different each time. So I'm going to start out with, of course, we said it's faith, and we had the affirmation, I stand in my faith, happy and thankful. Well, here's the one that I use, it's Doug's affirmation, for making sure that you're walking in faith. And that is, I am calm, I am centered, I am peaceful, I am poised at all times and in all situations. If you stand in that, you're going to be tuned into spirit, and faith will be there to guide you and direct you in everything that you need to know and do. So, the thing is I started out with is, I'd say everybody has faith in something, so the first topic is, what do I have faith in? That's a question that you got to ask yourself. Do I have faith in that I always prepare for the worst so that I'm never disappointed? Have you ever heard that? Do I have faith in I knew it wouldn't work before I started? Do I have faith in I'll try, but I know it won't work? Or how about this one? What will the neighbors think? Do I have faith in that? Or here's another one, you can fill in the blank. All blank are blank. So we have faith in a lot of different things. And so really, it's a little bit humorous, but it's really important to know what you have faith in. And again, one of the things we want to move away from is that negative chatter we have about ourselves. When you are in faith, what can happen out of that is you can have your life saved, or you can save a life. That's a pretty powerful topic, a pretty powerful statement. And I'm not talking about it blindly. I'm talking about it from being on both ends of the stick. Because when I got sick in Italy in 2013, I had to have faith that I would get everything together and get back and get taken care of. But the problem is, my limited comprehension and ability to do anything was minimal because I was so weak. So my job was to have faith in getting from the room to the front desk, from the front desk to the cab, from the cab through security, little steps at a time. If you take the whole bigger picture, in a lot of cases, it's really difficult. But if you break it down in little steps, it's a lot more manageable. And of course, then there's always the sidekick that you have with you. If I didn't have the sidekick with me and didn't have faith in what she was doing, I wouldn't be here to talk about it. And if she didn't have faith and walked into faith, she would not have been able to get things done properly. And she got things done properly. How do I know? I'm here talking about it. Okay? So that's an important thing. You know, I'm not talking about this lightly. You got to have faith or else you're going to die. People said, were you worried about dying? I said, I never thought about it until 4 months after I got out of the hospital. Well, what were you thinking about? The next step, I was thinking about living. I never thought about dying. Well, you might have died. Well, so what? I wouldn't even have known it then, would I? That's not relevant. You got to focus on living, okay? And then turning it around, I said at the end, I said, oh man, I don't know whether I could do what you did or not. It's easy being on the other end, well, sort of easy. Not quite real easy, but. And she said, oh, you can do it. 1 year later, don't watch out what you say, eh? 1 year later, I was on the other end of the stick in the bush with my buddy Tony when he had we didn't know it at the time, a major heart attack with a 90% blockage of one artery. And we were 4.1 clicks in, and I had to get them out. How do you do that? Well, I just had faith that I would know what to do. Each step of the way, I was given little things, and each step of the way, I did the same thing I did getting back from Italy, and each step of the way, I stopped and paused and was grateful for the success, and did the next little step, till we got to the bottom of this long hill. I had to go up, and he was in bad shape. So what do? Well, you get centered in spirit and know that divine right action takes place. And lo and behold, he stands up and says, Doug, I can breathe, the pain's gone. Toodle, toodle, toodle up the hill, and as soon as we get there, wham, he's back at it again. The most amazing experience. There was absolutely no way on paper he could have done that. In fact, the doctors don't know why he's alive. So faith is a real important thing. And as long as you can stand in that, then you will be given what it is that you need to know and what it is that you need to do. No question about it. At work they said, oh, you're a hero. I said, no, I'm not a hero. I did what I needed to do to get my buddy out alive. And then they said, well, we're glad he was with you and a bunch of other people. I said, well, that I can accept. That I can accept. So what do you have faith in? Let go of all that negative stuff. Let it go. It's not relevant. Start developing and cultivating your faith. And true faith, this is the next point, mark this down, begins with 3 important keys. 1 is acceptance, 2 is surrender, and 3 is trust. Okay? Acceptance, and if you're going to work this the proper way, you have to accept that there is a power and a presence in this life, a higher power, oogly gooka, don't matter what you call it, that is there and is there for me, and you gotta let go of control. Did I hear that? Am I just... You gotta let go of control. Don't laugh, Meryl. You know, and that's what surrender is. I remember when I did that in the book there. And one of the steps was I surrender. Yeah, hell, well, I rewrote the step. This is not right. Yeah, well, after I did that, I got real adamant that that wasn't right. Then I got to know what surrender was really like. I don't challenge the Spirit to make you learn what surrender is, because it's not a pleasant experience if you're that adamant about it being not good. And I was adamant about certain things. I'm just a little bit of a slow learner sometimes, okay? And then trust. You've got to trust. And, you know, it was hard coming to that place when I had absolutely no religious or spiritual background whatsoever. Zip. At least, not that I knew of at the time. Or, then there's the other one, where I'm in this 16, 17 years. I'm a CPA, professional accountant. I'm a minister that teaches all this great stuff. And there I find myself, panic and anxiety attacks, lost my church, lost my home, lost my car, lost everything I owned, and had absolutely nothing left except about an allowance of just close to $1,000 a month. And I had to rent a room. And you go into that and going, how the hell can that happen to me when I know all that stuff? Has anybody ever said that? Well, you don't have to do it like me. Mine's a little more dramatic than the average. That's because I'm a drama queen. I can't help it. But you know, it was one of the toughest experiences of my life. And I still had to get back to them 3 basic things. I had to accept that it was for my higher good and that I put myself in that position to learn. I had to surrender because I didn't know what the hell to do to put in place. What am I going to do? I don't know. What am I going to do for the rest of my life? I got nothing. I got nothing except this teaching. And then trust that the Spirit would give me what it needs to draw through. And lo and behold, one of the things was meeting Anna shortly thereafter, who was in the same pickle I was. So we come together with zip, and we've been managed to create a wonderful experience together, doing all kinds of wonderful things and having wonderful trips. And where does all the money come? I have no idea how it works, because technically my accounting mind can't rationalize how it's all working. Okay? But it's the trust. And it'll take you to a place of destitute if you believe and have that faith and trust. It will guide you to an experience in life that you could never imagine. I could have never imagined how good it would be when I got to be this age. First of all, I could never imagine getting to be this age. But I could never imagine. I went out this week and I went hiking for 8K with my wife up at the Lake of the Dog. I went on a 550-kilometer motorcycle ride on Friday with some buddies. I had all kinds of neat things happen. I'm sore. My body lets me know that it's not used to it, but God, is it ever good? And that was from that place of absolute destituteness. But the willingness to follow the Spirit, even when you think it's crazy and there's no damn way, like when it told me to go do a 3-week mountaineering course with Outward Bound, I thought, people are insane that pay to do that stuff, never mind do it. But Spirit said, you go do it, Doug, so I did. And I felt a little crazy, but it was one of the greatest experiences of my life, second most greatest experience. So when you follow it, no matter how insane it is, no matter how much resistance you got, if it keeps coming up, you got to do it. If not, just get used to whining and sniveling, because that's the way it's going to be. If you get tired of whining and sniveling, you got to have the courage to step out there. And you say, oh, you're so brave, it's easy for you. Like hell it is. I'm using hell a lot because I really resist a lot in changing. Because I get comfortable. Does anybody get comfortable? My life's pretty good. I don't want to go through that hell in the hallways to change. But that's what happens, and that's what we got to do, because we're not meant to stay here. If we were meant to stay here, we'd be like a tree, and we wouldn't be growing. We'd be dead. Next idea is walking with the faith of God. And that is the eye of the storm. And you know my affirmation, I am calm, I am centered, I am peaceful, and I am poised in all situations at all times. And that's the affirmation that you use to bring you back to the eye of the storm. And when you're in the eye of the storm, then you have the ability to be guided, led, and directed, and inspired. And you never know how God's going to talk to you. I had something happen to me this last week, which was one of the most exciting little things I've had in a long time. Very simple, minor, but I found a different way that the Spirit is now connecting with me that never happened before. So I wanted to get a hold of this buddy of mine and his wife for something. And I couldn't remember who I was going to try to get a hold of, and I couldn't remember what, but I knew it was somebody or something. So I wrote it in my book. Get a hold of blank for blank. I wrote it in my book. And you know how it is. Sometimes you get that thought, and you know, the name, or you bump into somebody or something like that. I had the neatest little thing happen. And it's really telling me, pay attention to this a bit more, because the Spirit's been trying to guide you, and you just haven't been quite getting the subtlety. So there I am, watching the TV, and there's a commercial on. You know, I'm just got it on the corner of my eye. It's a travel commercial, and then on the corner of my eye, and this got my attention. Okay? Why would this get my attention? That's the question you got to ask yourself. When something gets your attention that normally wouldn't, in that situation, you must ask why. Because that's the way Spirit communicates with you. So in this travel commercial, was one of these ships that cruises up and down the Viking cruise lines, up and down the Danube. And I'm going and looking, and it caught my eye. I'm going, oh yeah, I'd like to do that. My Mike and Hildy did that. Oh, that's who I wanted to get a hold of. And then I remembered why. But the way it was delivered, okay? 'Cause it was just a commercial, lots of activity, but zing! That caught my eye. And I paused and had that thought, and boom, that jumped in. So watch those things. If something all of a sudden catches your eye, even if it's been there a long time, and all of a sudden it catches your eye, and it's there, pay attention. There's something there for you. They say that might not be a big deal. That's huge for me, because it opens my mind up to a different way of seeing things around me that can give me a little bit more guidance and direction, so I don't have to be so stupid in learning sometimes. Or slow. Anybody like that? Yeah. Okay? And my favorite quote there is, not all storms come to disrupt your life. Some come to clear the path. And this other little one I like. Fear knocked at the door, faith answered, there was no one there. Fear knocked at the door, faith answered, there is no one there. That's a good one. Okay, and I want to give you some of this to close up here. It's cultivating faith in our daily activities. Dr. Ernest Holmes said, I live in the faith that there is a presence and power greater than I am that nurtures and supports me in ways I could not even imagine. And it's true. So here you got on the practice side, attitude. Got to work on that. Respect. Got to work on your confidence. You got to learn to trust. And this is a nice thing about, I have a hard time trusting people. I don't care about trusting people. It's not about that at all. Forget that. If you've got trust issues, then you've got trust issues trusting self. So one needs to practice trusting self and trusting in that spirit that's there. Belief. What do we believe? Culture and nurture that. Acceptance, surrender, and intention. You can do all kinds of good things, but what's your intention behind doing them? And only you know what your intention is. Everybody says, oh, a lovely person does all those nice things. But what's that person's intention while they're doing it? So let's look at the things that we want to pare down. And what's on the list that we want to watch? Well, hey, funny thing is, attitude. I got to tell you, has anybody ever experimented with having a bad attitude and see what happens, and then changing and having a good attitude? Has anybody ever done that? Really experimented? Well, I did that for 17 years, having a bad attitude. And it really works. You should have seen all the bad experiences I had. I can tell you all kinds of horror stories. And you know, some of them people call horror stories were actually fun. Or at least that's what I thought. Okay? So that's one of the things that could happen with attitude. Another one that we got to stay away from is worry. Worry, as soon as we get into worry, we're saying that we don't trust the spirit within us. That's all. Worry is the worst one, or doubt, or fear, negativity, watch out for our belief, skepticism, and here's another one on the list that was on the positive. Intention. I remember when I first got into this and I learned that cause and effect. When you do something, something comes back to you. Is it true, everybody? And I practiced. And I got to the point where I was learning this, but every now and again something would come up and I'm going, I know if I do that, I'm going to get my butt kicked. But I'm going to do it anyhow. Because I want to give it to him or get even or something. Anybody do that? I did. I actually did that. And as I was going in this, I remember about 5 or 6 times I did that. And then another event come up, and I'm going to do that, and I go, you know, I know I'm going to get my butt kicked. I'm tired of getting my butt kicked. So that's when I stopped doing that. And I was very cognizant about what my intention was when I did everything. Because your intention really sets the tone. Everybody, you're in a tough situation, and how your intention monitored. I remember I had a criminal charge and I got a pardon. And then I got another one. And so how it works in the judicial system is they bring up your record. So now you got both of them up there to flag. And so I applied for a pardon, and they put me up in front of the National Parole Board, the guys that do all the parole hearings for all the hardcore prisoners and stuff. There's about 5 or 6 of them. And they sat me down, and my intention was, I was real clear that what I was doing was right and good and honest this time. And my intention was to get this cleared up and to demonstrate and carry forward and create a good life. That was what my intention was. So can you imagine how that interview went? And I was calm, peaceful, just like I did. I got it all centered because I knew that was the only way I was going to make it through it. And these guys asked me all these questions, and I answered them all. And at the end of it, the chair says, well, he says, you know, that's very interesting and very well presented and done, but you know, it would appear that the first time you got pardoned, you were lying to us. And so the answer was, yes, that's correct. However, I could substantiate all of this, and it is the truth now. Cha-ching, stamp, buried, got the pardon, just like that. Try that on for size, eh? Why? Because of intention and faith and belief and the sincerity and honesty within that I really am working at transforming and changing. Hard, but that's the way it went. And boy, I was ever grateful. I'll leave you this with in closing. It's one of my favorite writings from Dr. Ernest Holmes. He said, faith is the power of prayer. It is a mental attitude against which there is no longer any contradiction in the mind that entertains it. Faith is a mental attitude which is so convinced of its own idea, which so completely accepts it, that any contradiction is unthinkable and impossible. Before such a mental attitude can be created, there must be nothing left in the subjective state of our thought which contradicts this. And that's what we want to work on, folks. We want to work on clearing the channel and standing in the light. Because I can tell you personally, no matter what the situation is, no matter how dire it is, the only chance that we have for a reasonable solution is to stand in the light and allow the faith that we have in the Spirit to guide us and to give us what it is we need to do. And so, as I declare that for myself, I declare it for each one here, that we are centered in the idea that there is a spiritual power and presence within us that is for us, and it is there to give to us what it is that we need to experience peace, prosperity, fulfillment, and happiness. It's mine now, it's ours now, I declare it, I accept it, and so it is.
And so it is.